Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so potential buyers have more information about the seller and the business to help them make a buying decision. Now, before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of this business. It's an Amazon FBA business created in October of 2020 in the music and home niches. The average monthly revenue for the business is $83,279 and makes an average of $18,528 per month in net profit. The assets included in this sale are an Amazon Seller Central account with 9 SKUs, supplier relationships, social media accounts, which include Facebook and Instagram, and trademarks. And just as a disclaimer, inventory is not normally included in the list price, but further details can be provided to unlockers. So for everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 66188 to learn more about the business, or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So that's a brief overview of the business for sale. Let's hear from the sellers with me today. So welcome to the show, John and Joe. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. And we have Joe on the call as well.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Well, I'm looking forward to learning more about both of you and your business. So to start us off, guys, can you tell me a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first, Joe, here. So this is our first kind of business in general, online or brick and mortar or what have you, that we've dipped our toe into. John and myself have always been looking to start our own business. We brewed beer, we done Second City, we've done a lot of things together. And then during COVID 2020 is really where I actually saw a course promotion to where it would teach you how to sell on Amazon. And it kind of caught my attention. So kind of got John's attention as well, just trying to say this is kind of like our least risky opportunity to start a business because I found that the capital needed was very minimal. So it was a great opportunity for us to learn on the fly, but also create something that we can do on a side hustle, because John and myself have full-time jobs, and it's something that we were trying to scale exponentially to where we could have some side income, but also if it got big enough, we could quit our jobs and work for ourselves.
Yeah. Well, first of all, congratulations on this being your first business and being in the position to exit it. That's kind of the dream come true for any business owner. And secondly, you mentioned that you chose Amazon FBA because you were able to get in with minimal inventory cost, which for me, that's one of the things when people think about what business model to get into, whether it's starting a blog, just writing content or creating digital products or getting into e-commerce. E-commerce seems to be one of those businesses that seems like it does come with a little bit of a higher capital cost. But it sounds like you were able to get into this space with a relatively low investment and lower risk. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. We built this business on 2 credit cards and kind of a minimal down or a lump sum of capital of our own cash to start this business. I think we spent more on the courses to learn how to run an Amazon business than we did the initial upfront capital. Like everything is done through Amazon. So I knew initially all we really needed to do was buy inventory, and the rest would obviously be PPC and any other forms of sponsored ads that you wanted to bring traffic to your listings. But for the most part, we never really had to fork up more money in order to buy inventory because we started getting more higher credit ratings. And I'd call the credit card company every month to get a higher credit limit. So that really helped us buy more inventory for the future. And every single monthly payment on those credit cards, we just take the money out of Amazon that we'd get biweekly. And I mean, for a while, we were holding some dollars on that credit card, but for the most part, we were able to pay it off pretty quickly because of how successful our listings were right off the bat. And once we saw that success very quickly, we knew we had something special.
Nice. This business is still pretty young, a little over 2 years old. So why are you deciding to sell the business now instead of keeping it and growing it further?
I guess I can take that one. Joe mentioned earlier that, we both have our own full-time jobs, and we feel like we've, really put our all into this one and have grown it to a place where, it was beyond what we expected. And for us, we have other aspirations outside of Amazon and different avenues. So for us, we've achieved something and we can kind of go in and move on and do some other things. But that's probably the main reason.
Yeah, it's always a good point to know going into it. I think that's always a question for buyers. When is the right time to sell? And I think it's good to, I don't know if we go into this thinking about a specific number, but knowing, yep, we've achieved what we want to achieve on this business. And we know that now use this capital or our focus towards other things, whether that's business or even career related or personal.
And to add on to that answer, I think we've brought this business with minimal SKUs. And I think to grow this business even further, I think you'd have to branch out of Amazon. Yes, we have growth on Amazon because that's the only source of traffic and a platform that we sell on right now. And to add more platforms, I think it would just take more time away from our family time, even our core jobs time that would kind of disrupt our current career. I think John and I have successful careers outside of Amazon as well that we want to also keep growing. So there just comes a time that we feel that there's a certain bottleneck in this business where it's going to take more capital and more of our time that we don't want to jeopardize at this point in time in our lives.
Yeah, that is a very common response to where you kind of know that you're going to have to spend a lot more money to expand. And it's pretty impressive that you built the business to this level with only 9 SKUs. But yeah, where you realize that you're going to have to add on a certain level of complexity to your life, to the business in order to take it to that next level. So I think that's a great point to consider a transition if you're feeling that way. So you built this business very quickly. And Joe, you mentioned that you were selling right off the bat, then you realized you had something special. So what did you learn from building this that worked, or what do you think contributed to the success that you did experience?
It's a multitude of things. You learn quickly. There's so much to learn, and just in general when it comes to selling on Amazon. But when it comes to your product and your listing, obviously it has to be extremely presentable. So photography and things like that, it has to catch the eye. And I think one of the things that we did really well when we released our first product, which is still one of our top selling products, was to make sure that it was unique. So when you go to that landing page and you search that search term, what you see from our listing is so drastically different from what other people are selling that it kind of changes the game, so to speak. And I think if you look at that search term today, as you would 2 years ago, it's a completely different marketplace. And we believe that we changed it because of our products. So it was really having an eye for a product that is different, that is appealing, and then capitalizing on it, branding it the right way with a strong brand and enhancing it with good photos, and then doubling down on variations and different type of products that continue to grow. And to be honest, we're just at the forefront of it because we only have a few products, and the brand has really presented itself as kind of a leader in the niche. So it's definitely exciting, but it's a lot of work to continue to do and capital that maybe we don't feel comfortable with at this time.
Yeah, that was one of the first things when I was looking at your business. That was my first thought was, yeah, these are beautiful images, beautiful products, but I think the images were really well done. So yeah, great advice as far as even taking something as not new as any kind of product, but making it new in a sense of just how you brand it, how you display it. And then even then you can change the game, as you said, or change that industry. So yeah, well done with that. Was there anything you tried with this business that didn't work out as well along your path?
I wouldn't say it didn't work out. We've done some external advertising and stuff like that through Instagram and Facebook. It's just very difficult to track whether or not it's being successful or where those leads are coming from. So we've dabbled a little bit during the holidays in advertising on Instagram and Facebook, but very minuscule, and it's very difficult to really understand how much was actually driven from that. But we did get very good responses. I mean, we've had tons of likes and shares of our posts. So it's hard to kind of determine it, but I wouldn't say it was a failure. I would just say it was kind of undetermined at this point.
Yeah, and typically you want to see some sort of significant lift in your volume starting outside sponsored ads on Facebook or Instagram. Like John said, I don't think we could necessarily see what worked and what didn't, and we didn't see that significant a lift. So, and obviously if you see some spend that isn't driving incrementality, you might as well cut it, or else you're just burning money. So on top of that, I think another thing that we saw that didn't work were certain products that we brought to market that were too much Me Too products and too saturated of a market. Like there are two specific markets that we went into, where one was just kind of a Me Too, where we just tried to brand it and we kind of tried to narrow it into a niche that didn't have the search volume that we thought it did when we first analyzed it. And another one is, obviously, I think anybody would be silly to have anything that's fragile that would be able to jeopardize somebody's opinion of your product when they get received and it's broken. So those are just learning lessons. And obviously we lost money on certain products that we came out with, but they're test and learns. And like I said, when we came into this, we were learning as we were going. So, and we were open to that as business, having a side hustle. There were going to be growing pains, and we learned our lessons the hard way, you suppose, but that's the only way I think true successful entrepreneurs become successful, is by testing and learning.
Yeah. So with your current products, how did you think about this? Either of you have like design experience, or did you leverage your experience from somewhere else to make your decisions on how to make the current products that you have really special?
Not to toad on ourselves, but I think Joe and I both have a really good eye for products, just in general. Fashion, whatever it might be, I think we have a good eye for what someone would like. So for us, it was just trying to find a product that was really appealing that maybe we hadn't seen before. So that's what our focus was, is just trying to utilize our talent or ability to have an eye for something that was unique and could kind of shake up a market or a segment or a niche.
And on top of that, like obviously we did our analytical research of the market itself, like the search volume, the number of sellers, the current products that are selling, the potential future growth of that niche that we wanted to play in. And once we found those keywords that we thought were pretty successful and saw a potential future in, I think to John's point, that eye of what's attractive and what would catch a buyer's eye. I mean, John hit the nail on the head when he found the product. I'll give him credit to finding the product to sell on Amazon. And I was actually nervous at first because at the same time, it's a pretty simplistic product, but it's something that was very new and it did catch your eye. And obviously it kind of blew our wildest dreams out of the water once it started being successful within the first month of it selling. We sold out within the first 2.5 weeks. We knew we had something special, so we did everything possible to get in stock right away.
Yeah. And as the product was listed and we got reviews and things like that, we continued to add on to the product. So where there might have been some deficiencies, we saw that, we listened to the customer, and we went back to our supplier and we worked really well with them to be able to say, hey, we need to create a solution for this problem. How do we do it? And then we kind of collaborate and create a solution. So our product has also evolved from day one. So it's not the exact product that we started out with. It's evolved. We've had to update photos. We had to update videos. And it's just made the product better and better. And it really has shown that the product is foolproof, because year over year, and I know we've only been in business for 2 years, but we've seen significant growth during the holiday seasons and even quarter after quarter. So it's a good feeling to see that, especially when you do have competitors and you have people trying to copy you. It's nice to see that we're still Amazon's choice and we're at the top of the market and no one's even close to us.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's a good point that you bring up with having that kind of working relationship with your manufacturers, because not everybody does that. They don't have that conversation with the manufacturers about, hey, we have this problem. How can we solve this problem? So yeah, both in terms of good on you in terms of listening to the customers and also to have a relationship with the manufacturer, but then to also improve on the product. It shows that you're taking the brand and the future of the business seriously.
Absolutely.
Nice. So at this point, can you describe the amount and the type of work that both of you do on this business to maintain it?
Sure. Yeah, I could start. So my main role is finding new products and working directly with the suppliers, placing orders, negotiating pricing, and just really building a relationship with the supplier, photography and all those other things that I do as well. But, to be quite honest, now that we've built the business up, it is very streamlined. The suppliers know when we're coming in for new stuff. The communication is not as much. It's pretty kind of set in stone and set in its place. To even put a couple hours a week would be a lot. I don't spend too much time from my side. And I know Joe manages the PPC, so he can speak to that. But from my end, it just gets a little busy when we have to place some big orders and get things going. But at that point, it's just placing orders and getting information over and documenting everything and that kind of stuff. But other than that, it's really streamlined. It's pretty kind of operates by itself.
Nice.
Yeah. And then on my end, I manage the PPC. I manage kind of the inventory counts. And we have a third-party bookkeeper that I'm in touch with all the time, trying to get ready for tax season and whatnot. I hold any excess inventory, so we do not use the 3PL. I think we have enough inventory room into Amazon where we were kind of restricted a lot during 2021 and kind of early 22 years. So there were certain times where we would have to hold a bunch of boxes, and then I'd have to do the shipping and then get that, make shipping plans and whatnot. And I think John himself, he's the sales guy of the duo, if you will. So he's a good negotiator. He's a good people person. So he deals with the suppliers, where if we do look at an opportunity, I'm the more of the analytical finance guy, to where I ask the hard questions of seeing if this is a good idea or not, or we're the perfect yin and yang, to be honest, just to vet any ideas moving forward. I may be somewhat pessimistic in a lot of the areas, but it's within good reason, where John is trying to move the needle to grow, and I'm just trying to make sure that we do it in a smart way. So honestly, I think our PPC is pretty streamlined, where our tacos is like 12%, and it's only grew the past quarter is because we wanted to have a strong Q4 and holiday season, and I wanted to increase our PPC. And plus, we had a lot of inventory into Amazon because we ran out of stock in 2021, and we really wanted to be strong for 2022. So we kind of overship, but I'd do that in a heartbeat again, just with knowing how we could get restricted from Amazon's algorithm in terms of the inventory allowable to send in. So in reality, our tacos is truly below 9% or below during the year. So I do check the PPC on a periodic basis, but I think we've gotten a good feel on our A costs.
Nice. Sorry if I missed this. So as of any excess inventory is still currently stored at your location?
Not all of it, though.
Not all.
No,
okay.
Our suppliers will hold our product. We have a forwarder that holds some of our product at zero cost. Again, it's just through relationship. We ship so much with one forwarder that they'll take on product and they'll hold it for us at zero cost. And our suppliers will hold our product as well.
Nice.
Myself, Joe, if I hold any inventory at my house, it's like I have a 3-car garage. Like it's just on one side of the garage. Me and my wife could both park in the garage. It's minimal at best. It's kind of like our safety stock.
Yeah, it's just safety stuff just in case, we're getting low on stock, and we all know how the logistic game can be shipping from different continents.
Got it. To what you said, Joe, about both of you playing very yin and yang roles, I'm sure you've followed Ryan Morand at some point, who has his own Amazon course, and he has a book. He described his first interaction with his first partner ever, his first e-commerce business, was exactly what you just described, with one person's kind of being, saying we can't do certain things based on these numbers, and then the other trying to push that. So I think you have a winning combination right now.
Good. Yeah. John and I butt heads quite often, but it's within good reason and good fun. And obviously, we're both looking out for being successful, but also trying to do it the right way. And I think our relationship, we've been best friends since high school, so it's been working out thus far.
Nice. That's awesome. All right. Well, let's talk about the opportunities and the risks for this business. So if you were to keep the business, what are some ways you'd try to grow it?
I think there's just a tremendous amount of ways that you can grow it. There's external ways outside of Amazon, advertising in different ways, Shopify accounts, trying to increase some of the exposure through different type of channels like social media and stuff like that, which we really have not taken advantage of. I mean, I mentioned earlier we did Instagram and Facebook, but it was for a very short period of time during the holiday season. And that was it. So currently, we're only selling this organically through Amazon and through PPC spend. I think there's just a ton of potential outside of it because it's such a consumer good where most of our products are at the price point where they're just kind of impulse buys. So if you can get into people's, phones from an advertising perspective, I think that the sales can just increase. It's just going to take capital, and it's going to take people that understand all those different platforms. Me and Joe, we took our time and we understand Amazon. We still think there's a ton of growth just to sell on Amazon through the brand and through the different products that we have. There's a ton of different variations that we currently have right now that we'd like to bring to market. It just takes time. And, as Joe kind of alluded to, we're kind of tied up with our own time. Yeah, I think from my perspective, it's that. There's multiple different variables. I think the brand has unlimited potential in regards to growth and ideas, and then the different channels that you can potentially expand this to. So it's honestly exciting, and sometimes I feel what it would feel like when we do sell it. Like I almost will feel like I let go of my baby, and that, that, you know what I mean? Like that somebody can take this to something else. I guess that's a decision we're making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good position to be in, though. I'm not saying that you should feel that way, but the alternative is that you feel like, oh man, I'm so ready to be done with this. Business is on the brink of failing, and I just don't want to deal with it anymore. So the fact that you do have this business with this opportunity that really sounds like it just needs more capital to take it to the next level, and somebody who wants to get into more of these, opening up these other revenue channels, that is a good position for any business to be in that wants to exit.
I think that I don't think John and I, or at least I'm not worried about the capital that is required to expand the business because the cash flow of our business is very healthy. And I think the biggest risk or limited factor is the amount of inventory that we need to stay in stock on our hero products to where we have our tail end SKUs that we need to keep in stock. And we have those limitations from Amazon based on your IPI, right? So you need to keep an account of how much you need to be in stock for your tail end SKUs. All right, now how many more SKUs can I come out with to expand the portfolio of our brand that will allow us to be successful and be able to have repeat inventory shipments into Amazon. So that's one of my biggest risks or fears of Amazon is the restrictions of inventory that can change at any time. And then also just Amazon's terms of service. John and I do everything by the book. We don't play around because we've grown this business the right way through Amazon's eyes and our eyes as well. And we wouldn't want to do anything that would jeopardize getting kicked off of Amazon in any way. So, I get contacted from people overseas about review manipulation, and I just ignore it right away because I was I'm not touching any of this stuff. And it's just something that we're just not interested in dipping our toes into just to increase our sales. And I think the way we've increased our sales has been working. So I think we're doing the right things the right way.
Yeah. And that does get into the risks of selling on Amazon that, as you said, you don't mess around. In fact, they probably are the ones who coined that term, mess around and find out.
Exactly.
Yeah, because anybody who is aware of this business model selling on Amazon just knows to abide by the terms of service. Otherwise, there is always the risk for any business on Amazon, the consequences of violating the terms of service.
Not worth it.
Okay. So a few housekeeping questions to wrap this up. How much support are you willing to offer a new buyer who acquires this business?
Yeah, I think the standard 30 days is something we would offer. If there were a scenario where somebody requested more, I think we'd be open to it. I think we would start off with that 30 days by email or phone.
And anything longer, I'm not opposed to. I just really think that our business model is very streamlined and there really isn't a need for excess help or questions. Maybe if you need some help on the PPC, but somebody that has the capital of purchasing Amazon Business Empires has plenty of experience in Amazon. So I think really the biggest piece of help would probably just be those supplier relationships and our forward relationships, because we do have, John has built really strong relationships with our supplier and forwarder where we trust them with anything. It's almost like you just ask them to do something and then the next thing you know, our inventory's at Amazon. There's no questions asked. We don't even have to lift a finger sometimes.
It's a dream come true.
Yeah, it is.
Well, they have their faults. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
It is a growing pain. That's manufacturing just your supplier operations is the lifeblood, aside from PPC as well, of running a profitable e-commerce company. Yeah. So comes with its growing pains, but it sounds like you definitely have a handle on that with this business. Yeah. Okay. And just confirming that you commit to a non-compete on this business after it's sold?
Yes.
Perfect. And are you open to something like an earnout?
At this point, I don't think so. Again, if someone was adamant about it and had good reason and maybe we had a discussion about it, maybe we would consider it. But I think initially, I think it's something that we're trying to avoid.
Okay. Sounds good. And last 2 questions. Putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
Maybe open up the cupboards to show what we're selling. But if you look at our niche and what we're selling, it's really a revived market. It's an exciting market to be in. Some stats just in the niche itself are kind of mind-blowing from the growth that it's had over the past 5 or 10 years and what it potentially could have over the next 5 or 10 years. I think that's the most exciting part about it, is that you have a well-established brand, a well-established product that leads this market segment and has just so much room to grow in all different angles, from new products to different channels. The more I talk about it, I want to delist. No, I'm kidding. It's just true.
Shut down this interview right now.
There's just a lot. And I think the person that has the wherewithal and has the experience and the capital and all the above to take this on, I really, truly believe this. I think that this business can be 5, 10x built, if not more. I've been telling Joe for years that we can build this to a $10 million business easily if we really put our minds to it. And Joe keeps saying, well, we'd have to quit our jobs and that kind of thing. And it's just something that we're not prepared to because we're really entrenched with our own careers. We built it up to a place where it's on the tee and it's ready to go. So if somebody wants to take this, I think there's limited risk and just a ton of potential.
Nice. On the tee and ready to go. I like that. I will use that sometime. Cool. Well, guys, is there anything that you'd like to add that you think I might have missed during the interview?
I would just circle back to the supplier thing. I know Joe mentioned we have good relationships with our suppliers. I really believe that we have strong relationships, so much so where we've had other products at different suppliers where they weren't doing things the way that we liked it, and we've ported those designs to one of our existing suppliers. And that just goes to show the flexibility with some of our suppliers. That relationship that we'll be handing over is extremely valuable. I mean, these guys send us Christmas gifts every year. Not cheap ones. I mean, they send us really nice Christmas gifts. They're not massive manufacturers. They're medium-sized companies, and we're one of their top customers, and they're very, very appreciative of our business. So I think those supplier relationships are just as valuable as the products themselves and the branding.
Absolutely. That's exciting. Well, guys, I think on that note, that's the perfect place to wrap this up. So John and Joe, thanks so much, guys, for sharing your story and joining us on today's episode. And I do hope your business is purchased in the near future and by the perfect buyer.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 66188. And if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.